friends, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Alana. For this video, I am going to be discussing all the books that I read in July. For the month of July, aka my birthday month, I actually did a pretty decent job with my reading. Proud of me. I read 5 books, and hopefully by the time that I finish this video, I have finished my 6th one, which I've been working on. The first book that I read, one of my first TBR pulls, which was Legend by Marie Lu. I gave this 3.5 stars for the most part. I thought this was okay. I've only read her Sky Hunter duology, and I think I liked that a little bit more than I liked Legend. But I still thought it was pretty decent, and honestly still pretty relevant. I still think I will continue on just because this is a duology, so I might as well just finish it because it's only 2 books. So I think that's where I'm gonna go with it. This duology in this book follows 2 people. So we have June, who is a 15-year-old prodigy living in this like militaristic dystopian world. And she grew up in a very like privileged family. Her parents died when she was young, so she was raised by her older brother, but they were still pretty privileged overall. And she has been groomed from a young age to basically be like the next like big military star. And then we have Day, who is also 15, who is one of the most wanted criminals in the country. In this world, I think kids, when they reach a certain age, they are tested, I think, by aptitude to see whether, like, I guess where they fit into the Republic and where they'll be able to, like, thrive best. There have been some kids who have been basically tested and claimed that they didn't score well, and so they've been sent off to the mines. Well, Day was one of those kids, and he managed to escape, and now he is basically fighting against the Republic in order to enlighten the people about what's really going on. Day and June's paths cross when June's older brother is killed, and it is believed that Day is the one who killed him. And so June makes it her mission to track Day down, get her revenge for her brother. But in doing so, she starts to realize through Day opening her eyes that maybe the Republic isn't being as truthful with its citizens as it claims to be, and there may be some weird things going on in regards to this like virus that they claim is like going around. I thought it was pretty decent for the most part. Again, we'll probably try and read the second book at some point just because it's only 2 books. I like Marie Lu's writing for the most part. I really enjoyed Sky Hunter, so I'm definitely willing to finish this out and see how it goes. And then I still want to give some of her other series a try too. Oh wait, I lied. I'm sorry. This is a quartet. There's 4 books. Damn. The next book that I read was Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh. This was another TBR jar pick. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it was a pretty cute little romance. This book actually surprised me with the amount of depth that it had to it. I literally went in thinking it was just a cute little story about this girl going to Italy and meeting a boy and falling in love. It's actually a lot deeper than that. So when we start the story, Lena, her mother, has just passed from cancer. And so, like, her mother, before she passed, made her promise that she would go to Italy and stay with her mother's friend in order to experience life and, like, learn, like, heal from her mother being gone. And so after her mother's passing, she's told by her grandmother that this man is actually her father, and her mother just never shared it. So she goes to Italy, and she starts to realize that, like, she doesn't really have a lot in common with this man. He's a little weird, he's a little quirky, but she does meet a boy named Ren there as well, and so she starts to really see the charm in Italy through her maybe father. and Ren. There is a little bit of mystery there because there is this question of like, is this man really her father? Is he not? Why wouldn't her mother tell her? And so she kind of has to figure that out while also trying to decide if like Italy is a place that she believes she could be happy. I was like really surprised by how deep this was, but I didn't hate it. That actually was pretty good, and I loved that we also got to see like parts of her mother's story that she didn't really get to learn while her mother was alive. And so I loved that she got a little piece of her mother through staying in this like beautiful new place. And I really loved the conversation around like family being like who you choose, and it's not always necessarily who you're genetically related to. And so I also really loved that discussion too. I definitely want to read the other books. There's like, I think 2 other companion books in this series that takes place in Ireland, and then one that takes place in Greece. So I'm actually really excited to check those out and see if I could enjoy them. So the next book I read was Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I gave this one 3 stars. This one follows Elwyn, who is a princess. And when she was younger, she was given 4 dragons, and it was prophesied that with these dragons she would either be the downfall or the savior of her kingdom. And so her father decides to try and take her dragons and lock her away. And so a few years before the story starts, she managed to escape from the prison, but she had to leave behind her dragons in order to survive. When the story starts, she ends up meeting the commander of a neighboring kingdom, Caden, who promises her protection and help getting back her dragons if she signs an alliance with him and basically helps him take down her father. That's basically the story. I thought this was definitely interesting. I really wasn't that invested in the romance, though, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was more invested in the dragons and just seeing what that was like. I thought this was just okay. It didn't really do anything new for me, which is fine, but I still think it was a decent read overall. I wasn't super surprised with the plot twists. I like kind of guessed them halfway through a little bit just because of the way that the story was going. I don't know if I'm gonna read the second book yet or not. I haven't decided, though I know it's coming out soon, so it's kind of all I have to say about it, just because it was just kind of mad. Like, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like super in love with it. The next book I read was Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This one I gave 4 stars. I thought this was actually a pretty sweet read. I enjoyed it as much as I did The House on the Cerulean Sea. I think I might have enjoyed this a little bit more than The House on the Cerulean Sea, just because I felt like with that one, it started off a bit slower than I would have preferred, and so it took me a little bit longer to get into it. Whereas this one, I was intrigued from the start, and it didn't really take me that long to get into the story, which I enjoyed. It follows a man named Walter who dies. He is taken to this tea shop, which is like a stop for him to really process and think about like him being dead and his life before he eventually decides to move on to the afterlife. But while he's there, he starts to get to know the tenants of the tea shop, especially Hugo, who is the owner, and he starts to realize that his life was not good and he was not a good person. And so he decides to hang around the tea shop a little bit longer in order to kind of make up for that, and starts to really develop attachments to these tenants as well. And I thought the story was really cute. The romance was cute. I really liked Walter by the end. Like, he definitely was an asshole in the beginning, but I feel like he really grew and he really learned what he valued in his living life, like when he was alive, definitely did not matter in the end by his death. And it really made him process his like humanity and morality. And so I really appreciated that. And I just really loved the discussions around like death and like life and the choices we make and how those affect the people around us. And then the next book, and the last book I finished, was Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. I gave this 3 stars. I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought this was just okay. It was really hard for me to get invested into these characters. I followed the story, I tried my best, but I just like could not connect for the life of me. I felt like it was a bit too insta-lovey for me. I felt like some of the decisions the characters were making didn't really make sense. I also really just couldn't get over the bigotry that was happening in this story, and so I just really couldn't get into the mindset of like the girl falling in love with the guy who like hates her kind and has been killing all her people. So this follows a girl named Lou, who is a witch in hiding, and she lives in a world where they're ruled by the church. And basically, there are guards called the Cheshires who are making it a mission to kill off witches. Due to various circumstances, Lou is forced into a marriage with a Cheshire named Reed. And from there, and so I feel like this is like a cat and mouse chase of like, Reed is trying to figure out who Lou is, why is she so guarded, why is she on the run. He also can't really stand her because she's very much not what he's been taught a woman or a wife ought to be. And Lou is like trying to keep her secrets. She's trying to figure out like how to reach Reed, how to get him to see that witches are people and they're not just these evil beings he's been taught to hate. But again, I was not super duper invested into the story, and I just don't think I'm going to continue on because I don't really want to read 2 more books with these characters, ultimately. So I hate that because I was really hoping I would love this, but I think I just missed the boat on this one, and I just came to it too late. Maybe if I had read it during its like peak, I could have like fallen into the hype train, but yeah, it didn't work. I am working on my last book that I'm gonna count towards July because I've been reading it for like a bit, and I started it in July, and that is The Secret World of Maggie Gray by Granger. So this one, I think it's gonna be between a 3 and a 4 star for me. It's gonna be depend on how it ends, but overall I'm liking this. This is about a girl named Maggie Gray who is accepted and kind of forced into going to this like magical HBCU because it is believed that she is a descendant of one of the like oldest vampire families and like the only descendant, I guess, around her age. So she is like thrust into this new world of magic that she never knew about, and along the way she meets some other classmates who end up also like being on their own journeys of identity while at this school. This book is multi-POV, so you're following a pretty cast of characters. It definitely reminded me of A Different World, just not as suburban, if that makes sense. So, but for the most part, I'm finding this really interesting, and I'm really intrigued to see how it ends. So I'm adding this to my wrap up just because I plan on finishing it like today. Those are all the books that I read in July. Again, it wasn't a terrible reading month. It was pretty decent for the most part. So, hopefully you liked this video. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching. If you like it, please give it a good old thumbs up down below. I'm going to go ahead and say leave me an emoji. And if you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. You are awesome flowers in a world full of weeds.